Hey everyone, I am Chuck Rogers. I am a licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist,
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I am a network engineer.
and a wonderful network engineer he is. And together we are Tabletop Coffee. We talk about how to do life, do it well,
Being bold and never, ever bitter.
never bitter. And tonight we're going to talk about codependency. Am I codependent? What is codependency? Am I an enabler? How do I stop being an enabler? How do I stop being codependent? Stay tuned. We'll talk about it and see how it's done. So I guess a month or so ago, I had a client to come in for an all-day intensive. I spend 8 sessions in a day with clients, or sometimes I'll spend 2 days of intensive work with clients. And about a month or so ago, I had a guy come in and he wrote out quite a bit of material before he ever came in. So I read through the document that he'd written. And, sometimes you'll hear a story or you'll read something and it just, kind of grabs you.
Yeah.
And then you don't really put it down mentally. It just continues to be there and roll over and over and over in my head. And it continued to roll over in my head the whole time I was talking to him, but it's continued to roll over in my head for the days since then. And so today I checked with him to see if it would be okay on our YouTube channel to read just a portion of his letter to me.
That is so very cool.
Yeah, it really is. And he says, oh, absolutely, go ahead and read that. So the only thing that I'm going to change is his wife's name. I'm just going to put a name in there called Marcia.
Marcia, okay.
Marcia, yes.
Or like the other fake name that we did was Sarah.
That's right.
I think.
I guess we could just keep it Sarah all the way through, maybe. Be consistent.
Let's be fake with Sarah.
That's okay.
So we're going to go with Sarah,
so
not
we
Marcia.
Again, apologize to all the Sarahs in the world.
And the Marcias that we started out with.
So here's what it says. I'll read it.
Okay.
We'll call it pushers and mashers. Are you a pusher or are you a masher? He said, it saddens me to reflect that I can't say that I know what receiving love from Sarah looks like. I have to resort to a toothpaste analogy here, but not the one who leaves the cap off of the tube. It seems that there are two types of people in the world when it comes to toothpaste: mashers and pushers. Mashers squeeze or mash the toothpaste roll in the middle to push the toothpaste up toward the top, but in doing so inadvertently also push it to the bottom. The process seems quicker since it takes so much less effort, but eventually there's nothing left to the middle, and you have to work at getting the toothpaste from the bottom to the top, or more likely to the middle, where you can mash it some more and then repeat. Pushers, on the other hand, start from the bottom and push towards the top and never have to worry about reallocating toothpaste since it's always already at the top. This isn't as quick and takes some care, but overall it does save the headache of moving the toothpaste from middle to bottom to middle and so on. This is a rather silly example, but it illustrates the point that when a masher and a pusher live together, the masher will think that it's perfectly acceptable to keep mashing because there never seems to be a shortage of toothpaste, because the pusher always makes sure that there is toothpaste at the middle and top of the tube. In other words, being a masher is easy when you live with a pusher. On the other hand, being a pusher sucks when you live with a masher. Even as a silly example, it is nonetheless a real one, and one that as a pusher, I have to say is utterly exhausting when it becomes a paradigm for the relationship outside of simple oral hygiene. In my case, I found myself always trying to fill in the emotional gaps and provide a salve to the trauma left by Sarah's parents. But this, I realize now, was utterly impossible. But in so doing, it subtly legitimized Sarah's attitudes and behavior. So it's kind of like, we use the buzzwords that people throw around, or codependency.
Right.
it's any behavior in which I indulge that allows the other person to continue their bad behavior, unhelpful behavior, unwanted behavior.
Okay.
Like my wife, Kim. Kim loves the show 600 Pound Life.
And I've never seen that
Yeah, I can't stand watching the show.
Okay.
But these folks who are, just very extremely morbidly obese, some of them have difficulty walking, or some of them even can't walk.
Right, I can't imagine.
But somebody's been bringing pans of lasagna to those people for years.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they can't prepare their own food a lot of times. They can't go out and shop. So somebody is enabling, somebody is making it possible for that person to continue this really bad behavior.
And that's a really good word to use, is enabling.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, what would be the best way to break codependency?
I guess, first of all, to realize that you're doing it, and then begin to brainstorm ideas of how to do it differently. And sometimes it's a difficult thing to do by yourself, so you need to reach out to a friend, or reach out to a therapist, or go to a group, like Families Anonymous or Al-Anon are great examples of support groups for families of people who are substance dependent.
So the addicted person in what you were just talking about would be the 600-pound person. That would be the addicted person.
Yes.
And then the enabler or the codependent person is the person who is bringing them lasagna.
Yes.
So is that something, when you're talking about brainstorming, is that something where the codependent or enabler can work through that directly with the other person, the addicted person?
Possibly, but usually the person who is addicted or engaged in some unwanted or inappropriate behavior might not be too interested in stopping their behavior. Or they'll say that they are, but then when it comes time to not eat a whole pan of lasagna, sometimes they'll chastise the person who, how can you not bring me the food that I want or the food that I need? And can even berate and become really difficult to deal with.
Sure.
So in this particular situation, this person was not addicted to anything.
No.
It's just that Sarah could continue her lifestyle because he made it possible for her. And then he just got really tired of always pushing toothpaste to the middle of the tube so that she could live her lifestyle. And then he also got to the place where he was really resentful of that.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So we've listed some already, some examples, but let's see if we can brainstorm other possible examples of how this kind of principle comes to a negative fruition.
Well, I think there's so many different things that we can look at.
Yeah.
I know somebody who she works all day, and when she comes home at night, her husband's just sitting around, and she's still expected to prepare dinner.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking, wow, you talk about being an enabler, someone who would be perceived as, being lazy.
Right, yeah.
And then coming home and going ahead and preparing that meal and continuing that process.
Another example would be maybe one person doesn't work or doesn't work much.
Okay.
And then the other person works a lot and brings in a majority of the money, but the other person spends a great deal. And so they're able to continue to spend because there's always money in the checkbook, or the credit card always gets paid off.
Sure.
Yes, there's another example of somebody keeping the toothpaste pushed to the middle of the tube.
Yeah, and I can think of one more, keeping gas in the car.
Ooh, yeah.
One person runs the car all the way down to empty, and the other person gets in, and it just seems like a continual process, and they're continually filling up the car, and the other person runs it out.
There's
Something like that.
Always gas in the tank.
Yeah, there's always gas in the tank.
So there's plenty of examples, and we could go on and on and on. So I guess the real question is, what do you do about it?
So does this run into request making?
That would be the first line of defense, absolutely.
Okay, so we have made a video on request making. You'll want to go and take a look at that because it's how to make a request without blaming the other person. And it's a great video.
It's one of the staples of what I do all day, every day. I talked about it with, I'll bet you 4 people today. We talked about the need to use the voice and to make requests of the other person. If you haven't seen that video, please go back and watch that. It can be one of those things that really changes your life and changes your life in a hurry. The use of the voice saying, hey, I'd like to make a request. Can you do this? So you would say, can you please make sure that the car never goes below a quarter of a tank?
Yeah, that's right. Or, hey, can you help me out and take care of dinner tonight? And so I don't have to deal with it after working for 10 hours today.
Yeah. So it's a very simple request. Whatever the issue is, just make that request known to the other person.
Yeah, and I still go back and watch that video myself.
And it really is a great video.
It really is a good video. I bet I'll go back and watch it every few weeks just to keep it fresh in my mind because it is something that is so important in relationships.
The other thing to do, in addition to making the request known, is to begin to do something that's different.
Okay, tipping that domino.
Tipping that domino. A lot of times, we're not experts in what does work, but we really can be experts in what doesn't.
Yes.
And what doesn't work is whatever you've been doing that hasn't been worked. Stop doing that thing and start doing anything else.
Yeah, just something different, even if it's small.
Yeah. Let's brainstorm about some ideas that you can do to combat the problems that we talked about earlier.
So to not be the enabler.
Yes, to do something that's different than what you've been doing.
Well, I think about, the story I brought up about the person coming home and still having to cook a meal.
Yeah.
Well, just don't cook the meal.
Yeah, just don't cook. Or how about
eat before you come home?
That was what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Stop and eat on the way home, and then just come home and not say anything.
Yeah,
and see
sit
what
down,
happens.
watch some TV, and say, "Hey, how was your day?"
Just don't even mention it. Just eat before you come home.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's wonderful. All right, so let's talk about the issue of the one who spends and the one who never or seldomly brings in money. What could you do about that?
Well, you can always cut up those credit cards.
Yeah, maybe get your own credit card.
Right.
Maybe get your own checking account.
Yeah, that would definitely do it.
Yeah.
And then thinking about the car and having to always put gas in the car. Well, maybe you just let it sit or let it run out.
See what happens.
Yeah,
Let the other person experience how, they're going to be late for work because they've got to stop and get gas.
That's great.
Yeah,
Ooh, I like that one too. There's some really good ones there.
Yeah.
They seem like some bigger dominoes. We've got big dominoes tonight, but boy, it would make a change and make somebody think through that process.
Yeah. Now talk about the messy house. What can you do about one person who's really has been cleaning up,
right,
so that the house doesn't stay a disaster, and one person just doesn't contribute to cleanliness but contributes to the mess? What are a couple ideas you could do about that?
Add to the mess.
You really could, yeah.
Yeah. Just make it a hoarding place for a short amount of time and see if that matters.
Yeah, stop doing the other person's laundry.
Yeah.
Leave
Let it pile.
extra amounts of dishes out.
Yeah.
Or maybe the other person doesn't want to spend money, but they don't want to clean up. So maybe what you do is hire a cleaning service.
Oh, that's a great
So you go the
option,
other way.
too.
So there's just
Sure,
all kinds
I like
of,
that too.
Yeah, there's all kinds of options that are possible. You just have to think outside the box and stop doing what you've been doing. A great book is How to Change Your Life and Everyone in It. It's a great book. It's either by Michelle Weiner Davis or Bill O'Hanlon or both. So
Okay.
we can put some links down below for that one.
That's great.
Change your life and everybody in it.
fun. I need to read that book. I have not read that book.
It's a great book.
Okay, I will get that book and I will read it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Chuck, I learned a lot from this tonight.
It's kind of a fun topic when you look at it in the way we looked at it, about how to change it.
Yeah, to change it, because that's where the changes come in that can morph the relationship into something else.
It can make a big difference in a hurry.
Yeah. So we hope that you got something from this tonight. Be sure and put comments down below and add to this any of the stories that you might have.
Oh, that'd be great. Send us some stories about what you've done in order to make a difference in your life.
Yeah. So thank you again for joining us with Tabletop Coffee. Be sure and subscribe and click that bell so you're notified of any upcoming episodes that we've released.
And make sure to like it.
Yeah, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.